Hello all, welcome to Paritranaya. So today we shall start with polity. So what is polity or what is political system? So political system is the one which is involved in the governance of the country or in the administration of the country or the management of the country. So if you look at any country, so the political system, it consists of three main aspects. So one is executive, next is legislature, and the third one is judiciary. So in any political system, whenever we call a government consists of an executive and legislature and judiciary. So first we shall look into superficial aspects. What exactly is legislature, what is executive, and what is judiciary? Now, legislature or legislative, it is involved in making laws. Legislative or legislature, it is involved in making laws. So what are laws? We shall see later on, but they are involved in making laws. Next, who are part of the legislature? So in our day-to-day life, we encounter words like MPs, Member of Parliament, MLAs, Member of Legislative Assembly, MLCs, Member of Legislative Council. So these members, they are part of legislative or legislature. Okay, so they are involved in making laws. So next comes executive. So the job of the executive is to enforce the laws. So whatever the laws that have been made by the legislature, so the responsibility of executive is to implement those laws. Next, the responsibility of judiciary is to see that laws are being implemented properly. If someone is violating a law, then the job or the responsibility of the judiciary would be to punish the person who is responsible for violating the law. So this is about the judiciary. So any government consists of three main entities: legislature, executive, and judiciary. So we came to know that legislative is involved in making laws. Now the next question that arises, what exactly is a law? What is a law? So a law is nothing but it is a set of rules. Okay, so we know about rules. Okay. Everywhere rules are involved. If you look at any game, if you look at a game like cricket or football or any other sports, so rules are involved. Similarly, whenever we say a law consists of set of rules. Okay, set of rules. So if you take cricket as an example, then the rule says that there should be a batsman, there should be a bowler, there should be a keeper. So these are the rules. Similarly, to administrate this country, to manage this country, we require laws. Okay, and each and every law consists of many rules. So if I take one example, law 1, so it consists of many rules. So rule 1, rule 2, so many rules. All these rules together, it becomes one law. Okay, it becomes one law. Now the next question arises, how many laws are present in India? Whether there is only one single law or there are many laws, So here we need to understand, in India or in any other country, the laws have been divided into two types. So one will be the fundamental law of the country and the other laws will be ordinary laws. So in India also we have one fundamental law plus many ordinary laws. So the fundamental law of this country, we call it as constitution. The fundamental law of the country, we call it as constitution. So we have only one constitution. Okay, we have only one constitution, whereas we have thousands of ordinary laws. But when it comes to fundamental law, that is constitution, we have only one constitution. So as we discussed before, any law consists of multiple rules. So as I mentioned, constitution is also a law. It's a fundamental law. It means this law should also consist of multiple rules. Yes. So it also has multiple rules. So how many rules it has? Approximately it has 450 rules. Okay, 450 rules. So when we are discussing about constitution, we'll not call them as rules. Rather than we'll call them as articles. Okay. So here, while discussing constitution, we will not say set of rules, but we will say set of articles. So our constitution consists of set of articles plus schedules. Okay. So what are those schedules? So we will be looking into those things later on. But for time being, we shall understand that our constitution consists of 450 articles approximately and 12 schedules. Our constitution consists of 450 articles and 12 schedules. So I've just taken one or two articles as example. So in our constitution, we have Article 1. Okay. So as I mentioned, now we will not be using a term called as rule, we will be using a term called as article. So Article 1 says that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. So what exactly is the meaning of union of states? We will be discussing later on. But yes, here what I want to emphasize is, so Article 1, so it is just a statement. Okay. It says that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. So next, there are many, totally 450 articles. I have taken one more example, Article 21. So Article 21 of the Constitution says protection of life and personal liberty. No person shall be deprived of his or his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. So now we need not go into understanding the meaning of this article, but from this discussion we shall understand that articles consist of few statements. So Article 1 consists of one statement, Article 21 consists of another statement. So totally we have 450 such statements. Okay, and these statements we call them as articles. So this was about the fundamental law. This was about the fundamental law. But apart from the fundamental law, I also mentioned about ordinary laws. So how many ordinary laws are there? We do not have a proper count, but there are thousands of laws. Not one law, there are thousands of laws. So I have taken few examples of ordinary laws. So an example is a law which is related to marriage. There are again many laws, but I have taken just one example. The Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Okay. So this is a law which is related with marriage. So 1955 indicates in which particular year this law was brought. Now we discussed set of rules, we call it as law. But in order to refer to this set of rules, we use a term called as article while discussing the constitution. Okay, while referring to constitution. But when it comes to ordinary laws, rather than calling them as set of rules, I'll call them as set of what? Sections. So in constitution, we'll refer to the statements as articles, but in ordinary laws, we'll refer to the statements as sections. Okay, as sections. It means one ordinary law will consist of multiple sections. So an example, the Hindu Marriage Act, which is a law, it consists of totally 38 sections. So our constitution consists of articles, our ordinary law consists of sections. So again, one example I have taken. So section 5 of the Hindu Marriage Act, it says that bridegroom should be at least 21 years old and bride should be 18 years old. Okay. So among the 38 different sections, section 5 of the Hindu Marriage Act says that bridegroom, the boy should be at least 21 years old and girl should be at least 18 years old in order to become eligible for marriage. Okay. Similarly, we have many laws, few more laws just are listed here. For example, when it comes to election, we have a law called as Representation of People Act 1951. So again, it consists of multiple sections. Okay, multiple sections. I am not going into the details of all those sections, but one of the sections of Representation of People Act says that in order to become eligible to vote, you should be minimum 18 years old. So this is a law related to election. Similarly, we have some laws or one law which is called as a Right to Education Act. So it was brought in 2009. So this act, it deals with education. So what exactly are the provisions? We'll be looking into them later on. Okay. So one provision is it provides 25% reservation for BPL students in private schools. Okay. Or underprivileged students in private schools. Next, similarly, I have taken one more example, banking law. So, day-to-day life, we daily visit banks, we make transactions. So these banks, so they are regulated under an act called as Banking Regulation Act. So it was brought in 1949. Again, as it is an act, it consists of multiple sections. Okay, so again we'll not be going into the deeper aspects of those, but some section will deal with how to start a bank, and some section will deal with how to close the bank. Okay, so in this fashion we have thousands of ordinary law in this country. Okay, ordinary law in this country. Similarly, I have taken one more example, telecom. Okay, so daily we speak, we use our cell phones and all. So related to telecom, again we have an act called as Information Technology Act. Okay, I just mentioned one act, but there are many such laws which relate to telecommunication, Now next, why laws are required? The next important question is, why are they required? So there are many reasons to quote why the laws are required. So we'll be discussing about all those things later, but for time being we shall assume that for the welfare of the human beings, laws are required. If there are no laws, then the welfare of the human beings cannot take place. So in general, we shall understand that for the welfare of the human beings, we require laws. Next question. Who should make laws? Okay, now we got to know about laws. What are laws? Okay, and laws consist of set of rules, and in constitution we refer to them as articles, and in ordinary laws we refer to them as sections. The next question is, who should make laws? Okay, who should make laws? So ideally, people should sit together and discuss and make laws for themselves. Okay, now we should make laws for ourselves. Ideally, we should sit together, we should discuss what is good for us, what is bad for us, what has to be kept aside, and what has to be made laws. Ideally, we should sit and we should decide. But in a vast country, okay, in a vast country like India or any other country, practically it will be impossible to bring all the people of the country to gather at one place, to bring them to one place and then make a decision. It will be practically difficult. That is why, in order to overcome this difficulty, okay, what is the difficulty? The huge challenge is practically impossible for all to gather at one single place and make a law. So that is why we have a provision. What is that? We have legislature to make laws. Hence, people will not sit and make the laws, but rather legislature will sit and make the laws. But how come legislature can make the laws? Who has empowered the legislature? So the legislature is empowered, or it has the power to make laws, because it consists of elected representatives of people. It consists of elected representatives of people. It means the people of this country have elected their representatives. Why they have elected their representatives? Because for every discussion, the people of this country, they cannot participate. So on their behalf, they will be sending their representatives, and their representatives may be MP, member of parliament, or their representatives may be MLAs, member of legislative assembly, or their representatives may be member of legislative councils. So these legislative members, on behalf of the people, they will involve in the lawmaking process. They will involve themselves in the lawmaking process. So ideally, it appears that who is involved in the lawmaking process? The people of this India, people of this country. So whether they are directly involved? No, they are not directly involved in the lawmaking process, but they are involved through their elected representatives. It means people of this country will have elected representatives, and these elected representatives will make laws on whose behalf? On behalf of the people of India. So people of India have empowered the elected representatives to make laws for themselves, okay, for themselves. So hence we have legislature to make laws. Now next, if we have legislature to make laws, why do we require executive? Okay, so let the legislators themselves make the laws and let them implement. Now if you look at the legislators, the number of MPs or MLAs, the number of MPs are more. So somewhere close to what, 750, not 750, close to 545 plus 250, somewhere close to 800. Okay, there are 800 MPs. So later on we'll be discussing about them. So if you want to bring all the 800 people together, and if you are expecting them to take a decision on a day-to-day basis, then that will be difficult. That is why all these 800 people, they cannot sit together and they cannot make a decision on a day-to-day basis. We require a smaller body. We require a smaller body. Hence, a smaller group of people among legislators will become executives. Okay, as all the legislators, they cannot sit at one place and take the decision, a smaller group of people among the legislators will sit together and involve themselves in day-to-day decision making. Okay, decision making. So we call them as executives, or we also call them as temporary executives. So what are temporary executives and who are permanent executives? We'll be discussing about them later on. But these temporary executives, normally we refer to them as Council of Ministers. So we refer to the temporary executives as Council of Ministers. So why do we have Council of Ministers? Because the legislative people, okay, the strength is very high, so all the people cannot sit together and take decision on day-to-day basis. Hence we have a small body consisting of around 40 to 50 people, so they will take decision. So this body we call it as Council of Ministers. Okay, Council of Ministers. So what we understood? We understood that here people will elect representatives. Okay, among these representatives, few of them will become ministers. So people of this country will elect their representatives. So representatives can be MPs, MLAs, or MLCs, and among these representatives, few of them will become ministers, and these ministers, what they will do? They will implement. So these representatives, they will make law, and they will implement. Legislators will implement. Okay, so Council of Ministers will implement. Next question arises. Generally, we hear about two types of government: central government and state government. Okay, so why do we have two different types of government? One is central government and another one is state government. So later on we shall see it is for division of labor. So in India we have two governments, one government at the center and one government at the state. So when I say one government at the center, it means central government has central legislature, central government has central executive. Next, center has judiciary. Next, when I say state government, so there are 28 states. So all the states will be having their respective state legislature. It means we have 28 state legislatures and we have 28 state executives and judiciary. So at the central government, at the central level, we have one legislature or central legislature, central executive and judiciary. At state level, we have state legislature, state executive and judiciary. Okay, and judiciary. So why do we require two sets of government? Why central and state government? The next important question. Now, when we want to do any work, so one single person cannot do all the work. Okay, so we require division of labor. It means the work will be divided, and on this particular work a person should be involved, and on this particular work another person should be involved. So in order to make the administration of this country easier, what we have done, there is a division of labor. There is a division of labor saying that this is the issue, this is the issue, or this is the subject on which center will work, and this is the issue or this is the subject on which states will work. Okay, it means there are few subjects on which center will work, and there are few subjects on which state will work. Okay, so this division of labor is there. Now the next question arises: who has made this division of labor? Who has made this division of labor? Because there are chances of fight emerging between the center and the states, that I will start working on this field, I will start working on this field. So such kind of disputes might arise. So in order to overcome this, who has made the division of labor? Our constitution. Our constitution itself has divided the topics, subjects. So our constitution, as I mentioned, there are 450 articles and roughly 12 schedules. So which part of the constitution says that on this particular topic center should work and on this particular topic state should work? So this division of labor is mentioned by the constitution in the 7th schedule. Okay, we have 12 schedules, schedule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So for a time being, we'll be ignoring about the first 6 schedules and the later 5 schedules. Now I am focusing only on the 7th schedule. So this 7th schedule, it segregates the subjects. Okay, it segregates the subjects into central subjects and state subjects. On central subjects, only central government can work, and on the state subjects, only states can work. And there are few subjects called as subjects of concurrent list. So what is this concurrent list? We'll be discussing later on. So here we understood that the constitution, it segregates the subjects into central list, state list and concurrent list. So on central list, central can work. On state list, state can work. Okay. So in this class, what we discussed about the political system. So any political system, it consists of government. So whenever we say government, it consists of legislature, executive and judiciary. Legislature is involved in making laws. Executive is involved in implementing the laws. And judiciary ensures that there is no violation of the law. But as ordinary people of this country, we cannot involve ourselves in making laws. So what we do, we have our elected representatives. So our elected representatives, on behalf of us, they make laws. And as our elected representatives, they cannot sit on a day-to-day basis for decision making. So what they have, among them, few of them will become ministers who will make or take decisions on day-to-day basis. Next, we also saw that there is a division of labor. Okay, in order to for the smooth administration of the country. So we have divided the subjects on which state will work and on which center will work. And this division has been done by our constitution through which schedule? Through 7th schedule. Okay. So this is about the brief picture about how our system works. So in the next class, we'll start with the legislature. Okay, central legislature. So that is, we call it as parliament. Okay, we call it as parliament. So in the next class, we'll be starting with the parliament. So what is parliament and what all it consists of will be discussed in the next upcoming class. Thank you.